remember hearing is the sound of a gunshot, then dropping to the floor. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. During a lacrosse game, I felt a pop in my knee and was petrified. I wasn't hit. I didn't contort in any weird way. I was just playing my game when suddenly I dropped to the ground. I sat there nervously, thinking of what I had done. There wasn't any swelling or pain, but I knew something was wrong. When I tried to walk and get my water, I immediately collapsed again. When I got back to Brooks, I asked Miss McDowell to take a look at my knee, and she said that I probably tore or strained my lateral collateral ligament. The next day, I went to an orthopedist where he told me that I had torn my meniscus. I was actually extremely relieved. The recovery process from a torn meniscus is about 4 months long, and I believe that my chances of playing in my senior season were saved. I went home for the MRI, almost happy, knowing that I was going to be able to play in my final season. I went to the surgeon the next day and expected him to say the same thing that the orthopedist had told me. He walked into the room, looked at me, and then said the phrase that no athlete wants to hear. "Will, you've torn your anterior cruciate ligament." I nearly vomited in disbelief. I threw my crutches and started shouting profanity at my parents, who were just trying to console me. This isn't a story about recovery or patience, and it's certainly not a sob story. This is the story of how I lost what I thought was my identity and my current process of trying to decide what is important in my life. I first came to Brooks as a new sophomore and struggled to find something I wanted to pursue. I tried making the soccer team, but the guys from the men's league I played in back home weren't nearly as good as any of the kids here. I tried my hand at squash and came close, but after a tough loss for the last spot on varsity, I decided that I wasn't ever going to try to better my squash game. Finally, lacrosse season came around. Before lacrosse, I meandered my way through Brooks, not dedicating myself to anything, especially school, and not knowing what I should do in my free time. I tried out for the lacrosse team as a last-ditch effort to try to find something that I was good at. I always had a love-hate relationship with lacrosse. I started playing when I was 8 years old and played every year, both for the local town team and my school. I never made the A team in town because I went to a private school and the coach didn't know my dad, so he had no inclination to put me on his team. This soured a sport I otherwise loved, and it hurt to know that I couldn't play at the level I was supposed to. I almost didn't play lacrosse when I came here. I thought it would just be another scenario where I wouldn't make the team, either because I was new or wasn't a recruit. To this day, my greatest accomplishment has been making the lacrosse team at Brooks. After that, I gained a sense of purpose. I was part of a team, something larger than myself. I was the low man on the totem pole, and being an immature sophomore, I thought I could coast my way through the season and earn a starting position the next. I was proven wrong when Eric Murphy separated his shoulder midway through a game against Milton Academy. I was sent on to be the fourth pole on our penalty kill. I was terrified. I was still playing a middle school style game against kids that were much bigger and faster than I was. From then on, I started playing on the penalty kill while Eric was injured. About midway through the season, I worked my way into a starting position due to a shift from one player from close defense to long stick midfielder. I messed up a lot. I wasn't fit enough to run the whole game, I dropped balls on clears, and I got beat backdoor more times than I can remember. However, this taught me something. A cliche, but something nonetheless. I learned how to fail, how to constantly fail, but then pick myself back up and try again. As my grades improved that spring, I realized that lacrosse was my calling. All I could think about junior year was lacrosse. The tournaments I would go to, the coaches I would meet, the end game of being recruited. I had a purpose and I was ready to chase it. I came into lacrosse season ready to play every minute of every game. This was my year. I started at every game. I played against some of the best attackmen, not always doing well, but learning from my mistakes. And the hard work paid off. That spring, I got my first letter from a college coach. The coach at the College of Worcester reached out to me, curious about my future as a lacrosse player. It wasn't a letter saying, "You have a full scholarship, come to our school," but it was something. That summer, I played in 9 tournaments in front of hundreds of different coaches, and more letters started to come in. Some were serious offers, others were just coaches asking me to pay money to go to their camp for a small chance that I might be seen. One letter stood out in particular. The coach from Kenyon College emailed me, saying that he wanted to set up an official visit and begin recruiting me to the school. This was it. This was the letter of all letters. Kenyon is a phenomenal school, and he said I would be playing as a freshman. From the moment I visited campus, I had my college life completely planned out. I would go to Kenyon, live in the lacrosse house, join the lacrosse frat, and be an integral part of a college program, all while studying at one of the best liberal arts schools in the nation. Those dreams had a serious road bump about midway through the summer. The coach called and said my grades weren't good enough. I was heartbroken. I promised him that I would raise my grades, my SATs, and do whatever it takes to get into Kenyon. That semester, I finished Brooks with my highest average and raised my SAT score 150 points. The coach was thrilled, but said he was out of recruiting spots and that I was going to have to get into Kenyon on my own. I felt determined. Lacrosse was my dream, Kenyon was my dream, and I was going to reach for it. I fell short. I opened my deferral letter December 15th, the day after I tore my ACL. Whatever support I had from the coach in the admissions office would soon be gone, and my chances of playing this season were shot, so no other coach would bother talking to me. Any hope of playing college lacrosse seemed to be gone, and I wasn't going to be playing in my last season of Brooks. I felt like I had regressed back into the same state I was in sophomore year. I skipped doing my exercises, and I barely gave any effort in physical therapy. I didn't see a point to being Will Landis anymore. Lacrosse, the one thing I prided myself on, the tool I used to dig myself out of a mental hole, a sport which had given me my identity, was no longer going to be part of my life. I was terrified about what was going to happen when I came back to Brooks. I was scared that I was going to wind up sitting in my room all spring, and I was scared that I wasn't going to get into Kenyon. I got my denial letter from Kenyon the last day of spring break. What a sour note to end vacation on. Being back at Brooks has been more difficult than any denial letter. I sit at lacrosse practice, watching and offering what little advice I can. I don't feel part of the team anymore. I don't get as excited as I used to on game days. Going to practice used to be my favorite part of this spring, and now it feels like something I go to so I don't get cuts. I dislike watching the games. I see my teammates making extraordinary plays, and I selfishly think, that should be me clearing that ball. I should be out there getting the glory. I don't get as excited when we score, and I almost feel indifferent to the result of the game. There isn't a price I wouldn't pay, a task I wouldn't complete, or test I wouldn't take. Oh. Test I wouldn't take to be out there on the field playing the game I love. The worst is when I think about college. I get scared, and I feel anxious. I almost don't want to go. When I go to college, I'll be a nobody. I won't have anything special. I'll just be another college student. I didn't want that. I wanted to be recognizable. I wanted to step onto a college campus, having the comfort that being on a team provides. Honestly, I just wanted an easy way to make friends. Now wherever I go, I'll just be another random freshman. The fear of college stunted my decision of which school I wanted to go to. I delayed my decision for as long as possible because I was scared to think about the future. I could play lacrosse at the school I'm going to, but I have the same reservations about trying out that I did 3 years ago. I chose a smaller school because I was scared of the nobodiness that comes with going to large school. I feared that I would get lost among 30,000 other students. But look at me. I've been ranting my whole speech about an injury that is fairly common. People in this school, and probably people in this chapel, have had season-long, maybe even year-long injuries. I'm not here to say mine is different. I'm just telling you all how I feel. And I feel wishful. I've always believed that there are 2 paths I could choose. I could put in the work and do the physical therapy and be patient until my knee gets better. Or I could hang out with friends, accept my limitations, and just wish that none of this happened, and just wish that my knee would magically heal itself. I thought the line between the two was very defined, but now I see I'm wrong. I want to hang out with friends and try to be an active part of the lacrosse team, but I also need to go to physical therapy. The line is blurred, and I've strayed towards the path of indifference. I know the future is bright, and this is just one small battle in the larger war, which is life. And I know that I will keep fighting, push past this, and end up in a place better than where I started. Today I'm scared, tomorrow I'll be scared, and next week I'll probably be scared too. However, I know that I can't be scared forever. Sooner or later, I'll have to find something else that I love. I'll have to move on from lacrosse and hope that I can hold on to all the happy memories that it has provided me with. I want to open up a new chapter in my life, but I'm afraid to make the jump. I ran into a family friend who was a priest after surgery, and he said, "Don't worry, God has a plan." Well, God's plan sucks. I know this won't affect how I live the rest of my life, nor will it stop me from ever being happy again. However, it sucks right now, it sucks in a month, and it'll suck for the rest of my life because I'll be left wondering what would have happened if I had played lacrosse my senior season.